Hi, welcome to my video on the standard form of a parabola, part 1. Standard form of a parabola is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where a is not equal to 0. Write the standard form of a parabola if a, b, and c are given. So a is 2, b is -3, c is 4. So the standard form is y equals ax squared, so it's 2x squared, plus bx plus c. And number 2, a is -1, b is 6, c is -2. So y equals ax squared, so it's -x squared, 1 is understood, plus 6. I got a b there. Just notice that's a b. Plus 6x minus 2. And number 3, -4. A is -1/4. B is -7. And C is 3. So y equals -1/4 x squared minus 7x plus 3. So that's the standard form. Y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And let's continue. Since we know what the standard form is, find the y-intercept of each. So the y-intercept is when we let x equal 0. That the y-intercept is a point on the y-axis right there, and that point, the x is 0, and we have a y value. So that's the y-intercept. So when we do a y-intercept, we let x equal 0. So we let x equal 0 in our equation, and then we simplify. So 0 squared is 0, 5 times 0 is 0 plus 6, so y equals 6. So the y-intercept is 6, or we could go x is 0, y is 6 as an ordered pair. And again, how do you find a y-intercept? By letting x equal 0 in the equation. So we sub 0 in the equation wherever I see an x. And we get 0 squared. 0 times 2 is 0. Minus 0 minus 3. So y is -3. And again, the y-intercept is -3. Or it's the point x is 0, -3. Find the x-intercept of each standard form. Remember, the standard form is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And you notice that the right side of this equation is the equation that we had equal to 0 to solve. So find the x-intercepts of each standard form. So an x-intercepts is when we let y equals 0, because if you take a graph, and this is the x and this is the y-axis, the x-intercepts are on the x-axis. So if we have x-intercepts, then the values of y at this point is 0. The values of y right here is 0. The values of y for any point along the x-axis is 0 for y. So we let y equal 0. And when we do, we can solve for x. I'm going to flip the whole equation around. I like to have the variables. So I flip the right side to the left side to the right. When I flip the whole equation, I don't have to worry about changing signs. And to solve this, I can solve it. I have a 1, so I can try to factor it. X squared is x and x. The product is 5. And the sum is 4. So the product is 5 and the sum is 4. We x-intercepts, we can't factor it because the factors of 5 are 5 and 1. So we have to find the x-intercepts by doing the quadratic formula. So x equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Because we can't, the factors of 5 are 5 and 1, and we can't, because the product is positive and the sum is positive, the factors of 5 and 1 will never give me a 4 because we have to add them up. So BA is 1, B is 4, C is 5, so it's a negative 4 plus or minus 4 squared minus negative 4 times A, which is 1, times C, which is 5, and all over 2 times 1, so that gives me negative 4 plus or minus, and if we work this one out, that's a 16, this becomes 16 minus 20, and that's a negative 4 all over 2, and that gives me negative 4 plus or minus 2i over 2, which is, we divide by 2, we get negative 2 plus or minus I. And that means, because we have imaginary numbers, we have no x-intercepts for this parabola, because we have imaginary numbers. Let's try number 2. To get the x-intercepts, we let y equal 0. We flip the whole equation around without changing anything. We just flip-flop. Now we can do the quadratic formula, or we can try to factor. I just used the quadratic formula. I'm going to do this one by factoring, see if we can work out. Looks like the factors of 2 and 3 will give me a 1, so let's try. We have a product of 2 times negative 3, which is negative 6. We have a sum of negative 1. So the factors of 6 are 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. So 2 times 3 will give me a 1, and it has to be a positive 2 and a negative 3. So we'll take those two numbers, and we'll positive 2x minus 3x minus 3 equals 0. And we do it by grouping. We take the 2x out, we get an x plus 1. We take the negative 3 out, and we get an x plus 1. So x plus 1 is common GCF, binomial. So what's left? Take x plus 1 out, we get a 2x. Take x plus 1 out, we get a minus 3. So we get x plus 1 equals 0, or 2x minus 3 is equal to 0. X is equal to negative 1. 2x is equal to 3. When we move it to the right, we get a plus sign, divide by 2, and x is 3 over 2. So the x-intercepts are negative 1 and 3 over 2. Remember, we could not factor this one, so we had to do it by the quadratic formula. And we got an I, and because we have an I, which is imaginary, we have no x-intercepts for this parabola, but we do have 2 x-intercepts for this one. And let's continue. Find the x-intercepts of each that's in, notice that of each that's in standard form. So this is standard form. So we want to get the x-intercepts, so we let y equals 0. Notice, to get the x-intercepts, we let y equal 0. To get the y-intercept, we let x equal 0. So y is equal to 0. We flip the equation around. And we can factor this. We have an x squared. Factors of 4 to give me a 4 are 2 and 2. So let's see. X squared is x and x. The product is plus 4. The sum is, the product is right here. Remember, that's a 1. So A times C is 4. And the sum, S, is negative 4. So that's 2 times 2 to give me 4. And they have to add up, so we both got to be negative. If the sum is positive, if the product is positive and the sum is negative, it must be 2 negatives. So negative 2, negative 2. Multiply. Negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. Add negative 4. And we get x minus 2 equals 0, or x minus 2 equals 0. So that means x equals 2, or x equals 2. So we have the x-intercept, the X-intercept is 2. Notice there's only one of them. When we have a 1 X-intercept, notice the two roots, when we solve the equation equal to 0, the two roots are equal. So we only have 1 X-intercept. That means that if we got 1 X-intercept, that means 2 is the x-coordinate of the vertex. So the vertex is 2, 0. So that means your parabola cuts the x-axis. There's two roots, but they're equal. So the parabola has a 2, and the parabola opens upward. And when x is 0, which I can put 0 in for x, and y is 4. So when x is 0, y is 4. So the parabola comes down, hits, and moves up through the 4 that's on the y-intercept. So I'm explaining why there's only 1 x-intercept, but there's two roots. That means that's the vertex. 2, 0 is the vertex of your parabola. Number 4, to get the x-intercepts, we let y equals 0. 0 equals x squared minus 9. Flip it around. And we can do this one two ways. We can go factor. One way is to factor. We get x and x. Notice there's no x in the middle, so it's a difference of two squares. So it's a 3 and a 3 with a plus and a minus. So we have x plus 3 equals 0, or x minus 3 equals 0. So x is negative 3, or x is 3. So there's two x-intercepts of negative 3 and 3. Another way to solve that would be this way. X squared equals plus 9. Move the 9 over, and we do the square root of both sides. But we have to do plus minus on the root of 9. Square root of x squared is x, and that's plus minus 3. So we can factor it, or we can do the square root property. But there's two x-intercepts of plus 3 minus 3. Number 5. And we got to let find the x-intercepts. We let y equals 0. Done. We flip the equation around. Now, the factors of the product is 2 and the sum is 2. The factors of 2 are 2 and 1, and they won't add up to give me 2, never. They won't subtract to give me 2. So I got to do this one by the quadratic formula. So A, B, and C. A is 1, B is 2, C is 2. So the quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Notice I'm solving the equation equals 0 that I did in the previous series of videos on solving a quadratic equation. So solving a quadratic equation, which is what I'm doing now. And notice all that work that was done in those videos it was to come to here to get the x-intercepts of this parabola. And we're working it out again. So b is 2, so that's a negative 2, plus or minus. B is 2, so we put the bracket if we want. A is 1, C is 2, A is 1, C is 2, all over 2 times 1. So that's negative 2 plus or minus 4 minus 8. And this 4 minus 8, okay, when I started now, it just will continue. Negative 2 plus or minus negative 4 over 2. And that gives me negative 2 plus or minus 2i over 2. Notice square root of negative number is an I. So 2 into negative 2 goes negative 1. 2 into 2 goes 1. So I get an I. And because I have imaginary numbers, I have no x-intercepts. And that was the reason that we solved all the equations before equal to 0, is to get to this point to show you that there's no x-intercepts when you have imaginary numbers. Find the value of c in each. So we have negative 120 lies on this parabola. Y equals 3x squared minus 2x plus c. And That's an X and a Y. So I'm going to sub 20 in for Y and a negative 1 in for X to find the value of C. Because if this point lies on this equation of a parabola, then the point makes the equation true. So subbing it in makes it true. So the only unknown then is the C. So 20 equals, and I square the negative 1 to get 1. I have to do the exponent first, so that's 1. So 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 plus C. So 20 equals 5 plus C. So I can go up here and go negative C equals 5 minus 20. Negative C equals negative 15. And divide by negative 1. And I get C is equal to 15. So that's the value of C, which is 15. So if I put 15 back in the equation here and sub negative 1 for X and 20 for Y, the equation becomes true. Number 2, 3 is an X-intercept of this parabola. So an X-intercept has the coordinates of X is 3 and Y is 0. So that's the X and the Y. So I'll sub in 0 for Y and 3 for X. Done. When I do, I have to simplify the equation. So 0, 3 squared is 9, 2 times 3 is 6 minus 15C. So 0 equals 15 minus 15C. 9 and 6 can add together, like terms, but I can't add the negative 15C. So we go up here, the negative 15C becomes a positive 15 on the right, and 15 stays. I move the negative 15 to the left side to become positive. Then I divide by 15, cancels, and I guess C is equal to 1. And I put 1 back in the equation. I get Y equals X squared plus 2X minus 15. And when you work that out, a factoring or quadratic formula, you'll find one of the X-intercepts will be a 3. Number 3, 1, negative 2 lies on this quadratic. That means that X is 1, Y is negative 2. Sub that in, negative 2, X is 1, X is 1. So I subbed in Y and I subbed in X. So I have to do the power first. 1 squared is 1. So 1 times C is C. Negative 4 times C times 1 is a negative 4C plus 2C. Simplify each side and I get a 1 minus 4 plus 2, so it's a negative C. So move it over. C goes to the left. Variable goes to the right. So C is 2. So if you want the equation, which I did, I just wanted the value of C, but if you plug the 2 back in, 2x squared, and 2 goes here, so negative 4 times 2 is negative 8x, and 2 goes here, 2 times 2 is 4. So that's the equation that has this point on it. So if you plug X is 1 and put a negative 2 in for Y, both sides of the equation will work out. So that's working on the standard form. And again, just to remind you, what is the standard form? The standard form is Y equals A outside of X squared plus BX plus C. Standard form of the parabola. And if you like my video, click the like button, subscribe button, and the notification bell. Visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content. And that's the content that's on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video. Bye-bye.